This is the voiceover guy, and you're listening to Eamon Rogers. He's awesome.
Okay, hello there, and welcome to the Weekly Wrestling Report. Yes, I know I say Weekly Wrestling Report, and I don't think I uploaded a video last week, but I have an explanation. I just recently joined a gym for the first time in my life, and when I come home from the gym, I'm pretty much beat. I'm just incredibly just exhausted. I am here to talk about one important thing, and that is Monday Night RAW from last night, and maybe even the week before, technically. I didn't do one for the week before, but that was for a different reason. I thought everyone immediately after Raw last week, when Cena won the belt off Rey Mysterio, and CM Punk just came back, everyone was saying, it's too early, they ruined it, this sucks, this is boring, stupid WWE, they're shit again, blah, blah. I wanted to hold off judgment until I saw what the explanation was. So I didn't want to come on here and, first of all, I didn't have a problem with Punk returning that early anyway, but it's not how I would have done it. I did think it was too early, but I just didn't have a problem with it. But I didn't want to come on here and have a big major rant about blah, 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 Punk, blah, 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 Triple H, blah, 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 Cena, blah, 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 blah. And then the next week could be really good, and then we'd all be like, oh, that's what they were doing, huh? Well, I just put my foot in my mouth. So I held off judgment. I watched last night's Monday Night Raw, stayed up to the 4 a.m. mark. Just had nothing else to do. And first 20 minutes of Raw, 25 minutes, amazing. That promo with Punk and Triple H was very well done. I don't think WWE's had promos this strong as an opener for a long time, which is a good bonus. But the bad thing is when they open the show that hot and that really great, and you're sort of going, wow, this is really good stuff. And then the show just sort of falls down after that and just sort of slides downhill. And that's what this Raw felt like. I mean, to me, it just felt like an amazing opener. A whole lot of boring, crappy stuff in the middle. Every guy who isn't CM Punk or John Cena or Triple H right now is just sort of floundering. They're just sort of struggling to make their way on the mid-card. They're just... Basically, everyone who came out of that Money in the Bank match, except for... Actually, no, let me think. Everyone who came out of Money in the Bank, that ladder match from Raw, they're all just sort of flip-flopping in the mid-card, doing nothing. And we're going into SummerSlam, and I can only think of two matches that we really have going for that card. And that's Orton and Christian and Punk and Cena. Maybe you could throw in R-Truth and Jomo, because they have a little beef together. But realistically, we've got nothing going into SummerSlam except those two matches, and well, let's just put it out there. We've seen them before, and we've probably seen the better versions before. It's going to be hard to top the Cena-Punk match from Money in the Bank. And Orton and Christian, this must be at least their 6th or 7th time that we've seen them fight. So, I don't know how our SummerSlam is going to shape up with the way WWE is booking this. But there's just nothing going on in the mid-card that's remotely interesting for me right now. Where if you look back at that Money in the Bank pay-per-view, everything mattered. Everything had a structure, everything had a way, everything was important, everything looked good. Now we're just back to, it's the main card, and then the rest just will fall into place. Even the Divas, they took a step up in this direction, that we actually have a storyline going with the Divas. But the US title, do we have a storyline really? I think we got A-Rai and Dolph Ziggler sort of teasing that they were going to have a match maybe at SummerSlam. But First of all, how does A-Rai deserve it? He's only fought The Miz. I, I mean, literally. I mean, that's if you really look back on A-Rai, ever since he turned face, has he fought anybody that isn't The Miz? Has he been in a match with anyone that The Miz wasn't in the match with? So if he beats The Miz twice and then The Miz beats him once, while The Miz was injured, how does that remote in him deserving a US title shot? I don't know, I'm just saying. ADR, floundering, trying to tease in cash-ins now and then just beating on random mid-carders on a rotation, it seems. It's Kofi one week, Evan the next. Kofi one week, Evan the next. I'm pretty sure he'll beat on Kofi next week, and then probably do something after the match, and then Evan will run down. It's just the same old. I'm not really interested in ADR right now, and that's a shame because the guy is a stud. The guy is gold in the ring. What else we got going on? See, it's just hard to remember things that are. I don't write. I mean, you probably know people on YouTube write down notes of what they're going to say and pre-planned discussions. I just sort of come on, and if it's worthy enough for me to remember it, obviously I'll talk about it. If it's not, then it's not worth mentioning. Beth Phoenix, she stepped up. That's one thing that just popped in my mind. At least I was saying, at least the Divas have a storyline going into SummerSlam. Beth Phoenix is back to normal. We needed a heel dominating the Divas division because Karma left, so that they filled that void. And then when Karma comes back, probably as a face, they can build Beth Phoenix up to the point where them two can have a big epic clash, and then that means something. That's small things like that I've been noticing. But there's just been a lot of bad going on in the WWE lately, and it's being covered well because everyone thinks the WWE right now is amazing, what with Punk and John Cena. And they're doing a good job of covering the tracks that everyone else is just sort of floundering on. But after a while, the first 20 minutes of Raw was amazing, a whole lot of it in the middle, and then a very predictable ending. I mean, I could have told you from the first 20 minutes. Hell, I could have told you, actually did, on a forum I'm a part of. I wrote on it, here's the two options for this John Cena CM Punk feud, and I wrote out a big detailed one for option A that I thought should happen, and was the way that I would have booked it, and was very detailed. And then option B was just unification match at SummerSlam. So I could have told you what was going to happen at the end of Raw a week before it happened. I mean, they could have at least came up with something just a little bit more creative than that. I suppose I've got another lot of minutes left, and I don't really remember anything else from Raw apart from. No, I don't remember anything else from Raw worthy enough to talk about. So I'll just talk about how I would have booked it, because I planned on doing one of these videos. Excuse me. I planned on doing one of these videos anyway of how I would have booked the CM Punk John Cena storyline. And I said the way I would have done it is Punk comes back. This is basically we're starting from when Punk came back and lifted the title and Cena lifted his title. Punk comes out the next week, talks about how he's the real champion. Cena comes out and goes, well, if you're the real champion, defend it against me and we'll have a unification match. Punk says, no. Why should I defend it against you? I've already beaten you. You already got your rematch against Rey Mysterio. You can have the fake belt, and I'm going to run around and I'm going to defend my belt. So then you've got two WWE champions for, I would say, a couple of months. Both of them defend their WWE titles on pay-per-view against different opponents. So we've got basically 3 world champions. I know that's overkill, but if it's just, think about it in the long run. It's only going to go on for about 3 months. So we've got Punk running around defending his title against the likes of Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne, people that he thinks maybe deserve that extra spotlight, people in the lower card who should get that big push. And then John Cena's defending his against the Alberto Del Rios, the Mizes, the R-Truths, the John Morrisons, people like that. And it, both, obviously after a while it will get stale. So both people go into Survivor Series as the WWE champion still. And then it just gets decided, you know what, you can't do this forever. You're going to have a unification match. Iron Man match, 60 minutes, Madison Square Garden, New York City. The Rock says he's going to be there at Madison Square Garden at Survivor Series. Have him come back, interfere in the match, cost John Cena the title. That way, Punk is built up to be the superstar because he's the undisputed WWE champion. And we also have more heat for this Rock and John Cena match going into WrestleMania. Then I would try and book it, if obviously Stone Cold was up for it, to the point where Punk would just go on a winning spree for the next couple of months and then say he's done it all, he's beaten them all, he's the best WWE champion of all time. Stone Cold comes out, and then we've got the most epic WrestleMania I think in a long time, where we have The Rock and John Cena as the main event. We have CM Punk and Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE title. Daniel Bryan versus whoever for the World Heavyweight title. Maybe the Royal Rumble winner, triple threat. You know, there's just so many ways that they could have done it, and I think they rushed it for the sake of getting a quick payday. So I think that these guys need this more right now than they do 6 months from now, when I think it would mean a lot more and it would get a bigger reception and a bigger pop. But the WWE just doesn't do long-term booking the way that I would hope that they would do, or the way that they used to do. You know, think about the last long-term booking plan the WWE had. It usually goes into WrestleMania. Usually involves someone like Shawn Michaels or The Undertaker or Ric Flair. The last couple of years, but the last non-WrestleMania, you know, long feud, probably in my estimation was probably Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels at sort of Great American Bash all the way to Survivor Series. They had about a 6-month block there where they just went one-on-one each and every month, and it meant something. It was good. It was good entertainment, and I think the WWE came out later that the WWE tried to implement all the angles that they had in those 6 months in the space of 2 months, which would not have been enough time because there was so much going on in that storyline. And this just reeks of that. I mean, it reeks of the same thing that they had last year with the new Nexus. Or, sorry, not the new Nexus, the Nexus. Nexus come in, they're red hot, everybody's talking about them, everyone's excited, everyone's going, what's the Nexus going to do, this is exciting, the wrestling industry's back. And then John Cena wins cleanly at SummerSlam and it's over. And this just reeks of that. If CM Punk loses at SummerSlam, what do you got to go to next? A rematch? Of course a rematch. There's always a rematch in WWE. If you lose your WWE title, you get a rematch instantly. It's just the way it works for some reason now. I mean, John Cena wasn't even in the tournament and he gets a bye to the finals and defeats Rey Mysterio, who already fought in the night. And you know, it's just, there's a lot, the whole tournament thing this 2-3 weeks ago meant nothing. Because the champion was only going to be champion for about an hour and a half. Why not just give it to someone who needed it? Someone like Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, ADR. Well, not ADR, he's already gone, he'll win it eventually. But you know, Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne, Ziggler. Hell, Ziggler held the Smackdown title for an hour. So wouldn't it have made sense if he held both titles for an hour and then he's that champion, he's that type of guy, and then he tries to focus and become the guy that isn't those 1 hour champions, can actually hold it for longer. It was just a whole lot of shady booking lately by the WWE. Going into SummerSlam, yes, I was going to buy it after I saw Money in the Bank. I was like, right, I'm definitely buying SummerSlam because we didn't have the chance to buy Money in the Bank because it was free over here. I was like, I'll definitely buy SummerSlam. Now I'm not. I'm not going to buy it. I don't see why I should. There's only going to be 1, maybe 2 matches that I actually have any care for. And I say care for SmackDown on Christian and Randy Orton. I haven't really watched SmackDown in about 2 weeks. It's not because I don't care. It's just because sometimes it's a chore. Outside of Sheamus, Orton and Christian, I really have no idea or care for anything else that's going on. Daniel Bryan, yes, I enjoy that he's the new guy, but give it time, maybe it'll kick off. For the meantime and in between time, here is Eamon Rogers signing off for the Weekly Wrestling Report, saying enjoy the rest of your evening. Adios.
This is the voiceover guy, and you're listening to Eamon Rogers. He's awesome.